Hey there, and welcome to Marriage Talks, a real, authentic, and relatable podcast about how to thrive in your marriage. I'm Elizabeth Ann.
And I'm Michael.
And today we're going to be talking about how to avoid marriage fatigue, which is a very real thing.
Yeah, I feel like it's a hot topic in 2020.
Yeah.
Just because everything's, quarantine has affected all the normal facets of marriage life, family life, work life, you name it.
It has put a magnifying glass on your life.
Yeah, ooh, that's good.
Yeah. Before we get into it, though.
All right, we wanted to tell you that this episode is sponsored by the Marriage Talks Patreon. It's at our Patreon page where you can go and support our show. You can start at a very low rate if you just want to kind of support us. We love what we do, and it would help us a ton. And also in some of the higher tiers, you can connect a little bit more with us. So check it out.
Direct access to us.
Yeah, direct access.
Yeah, it also helps our mission to help other married couples thrive in their marriage, which is really amazing. So thank you.
Yeah.
Also, we want to ask you to subscribe if you are not a subscriber yet. That way you don't miss any episodes. And if you love an episode, please share it. Make sure that you tag us so that we can go, yay, thanks for sharing. It really means the world to us. And we love that so many of you come back week after week to support the show and to listen. It's really such a blessing to us. So thank you.
Yeah, we love it. All right, so we first need to start out by defining what is marriage fatigue, because we totally made it up. I don't know, it's a term you can just apply to just the general malaise. There you go, there's a word for you. The malaise that you can feel after being together for a while, like the honeymoon phase ends, and then you're kind of in the day-to-day grind of, wake up, work, come home, cook dinner. If you got kids, put the kids to bed. Go to bed, read a book, be on your phone, whatever, and it can get really repetitive and not so fulfilling if you let it.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's something that a lot of couples suffer from, and the tricky thing is you might have no idea you're suffering from this at all. It's just, if you don't prioritize your spouse at all, you can just quickly just go into that just flat line, no excitement, just like we were talking about fatigue. You're just, life's tiring, marriage is hard work, and you just coast. That's marriage fatigue.
Yeah. I think we've heard a lot of the term fall out of love, which I have my own thing about that, that phrase. But also the 7-year itch, like those common phrases where you just kind of, like Michael said, you settle into a routine where you just let the routine take over your life instead of being active in the routine. And that's not a good place to be. You don't want to be in marriage fatigue. You don't want to be in, quote, falling out of love. Again, I have my whole spiel about that. That can be another episode. But
you could probably go full 30 minutes.
Yeah, I could. And 7-year itch, things like that. Being in that place within your marriage is not a good place to be. It's not like, oh, I've reached this comfort level. No, that's not what it is. So don't believe that lie, please. We're talking about that marriage fatigue, that 7-year itch, that falling out of love, state of mind, state of relationship. We're going to address that. Like, how does it happen? And then we're going to address how to fix it. Because I think we've had short seasons where we have let that routine kind of take over us.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Instead of us taking over the routine and playing an active part in that.
Yeah, if you listen to our very last episode, it was a specific look at the sexual intimacy aspect of one of those periods of times where we didn't connect at all. So check it out, the previous episode, the time when we stopped having sex. So that highlights that a little bit more. But if you've been married for any amount of time, 5+ years, I would wager you've had some sort of maybe a month, maybe 6, whatever. But, like we always talk about, marriage requires a lot of constant work, and you have to really, really prioritize connection all the time. And it can be difficult to do that every single day. You should strive for it. You should pray for it. You should really dive into that. But we're all human, and we have our weak moments.
Yeah. And I think before we get into how does it happen, I think the big overarching theme or thing that happens that kind of, we're going to talk about subpoints of it, is that we lose track of what a marriage is supposed to look like. And we just get very lazy in that relationship, which is a working relationship. It's something that you have to be present in. And if you've been listening to the show for a while, you know that Michael and I are Christians. And so we model our marriage based on the way Christ loves the church. And that is an active relationship. Both parties are investing in that relationship. It is something that's active, that's not passive. And so that's what we are modeling our relationship off of. And we can't afford to be complacent and to be lazy in our marriage, because that's when the enemy grabs a foothold and can really do some damage. So it's being on the offensive in a good way. Not like offensive is like, don't come near me, put up walls. Not like that, but the offensive of like protecting your marriage and investing and doing those good, healthy things, pouring into your marriage in a good way and in an offensive way, and
But not to be offensive.
No, not to be offensive. But you don't want to be on defense, because then you're just reacting to what's happening. Yeah. So be on the offensive team.
Yeah, and I will the little caveat to that is we try to do that all the time.
Yeah.
We're not perfect at it. I mean, like, if you guys know us in real life, you already are laughing right now. Hopefully not like that. But yeah, we try to model ourselves after Christ. And we have days where we're better at keeping that in mind, and days where we kind of put ourselves first. But yeah, well said. So how does marriage fatigue happen? We highlighted 3 bullet points for this.
Yeah.
The first thing is to stop connecting. It's just when
that's how it happens. You stop connecting.
Yeah, you stop connecting. Like if you get home from work, like I go to work, I go to a place for work and I come home from that work in the afternoon. And if I were to just like put my stuff down, go to the back room, shower, whatever, and just kind of like, forget these people, I think pretty soon they would start to feel like they were not coming first. So you gotta put that connection first. If you have somebody in your life who is constantly seeking you out and wants to know how your day was, wants to know what you think about every little issue, how does that make you feel? Pretty dang good. I guarantee it. You want to be thought of, you want to be asked questions, and you want somebody to just invest in you. So that feels good when it happens to you, so you really ought to be doing that to your spouse as well.
That's good. Yeah, when you stop connecting with your spouse, it's just that main channel of that main highway between the two of you just gone. And when there's no direct access to each other, it's really lonely. And when you're alone, when you feel like you're alone in a relationship, you're going to feel fatigued. 100%.
Yeah.
Because, imagine if, like, say you were the one who was trying to build the highway, trying to build the bridge, trying to make that connection, but then your spouse wasn't. You're going to have fatigue because you're always the one trying.
Yeah, you're the person in the school project where you work
carrying
really hard, you do all the math, you do all the art, you use up all of your glue stick, and then you have Sam, who's the lazy kid, who doesn't do any of the work, and you feel mad about it.
Shafted.
Yeah. Sam, what's up, man? Why are you doing that?
Get your act together, Sam.
Sorry if your name's Sam.
It's just
an
we
example.
don't know anybody by that name. It's just an example. But I do want to add a little disclaimer, like if you are the one who is always trying to make the connection and your spouse is just not returning that on whatever level it might be, keep pressing forward with making that connection. Don't give up. I know that fatigue is really hard to fight and it just feels like you're completely alone, but that's where the strength of the Lord comes in, because there's just no way you can do that on your own. But don't try to build that bridge with someone else or with another thing. Don't try and fill that marriage void with
bowling.
X, Y, and Z. Bowling?
Yeah.
Yeah, with bowling. Don't do that.
How many marriages in America have been lost to the sport of bowling. It's a lot, I guarantee.
The percentage is probably very small.
If it's more than one, it's too it's too much.
But my point is just an encouragement. Like, yes, it's gonna feel lonely, but that work to continue to make that connection will be recognized, and it will be praised. You know, if you're a believer, those things will be recognized, and so it's an important one to honor that covenant, those vows that you made with your spouse. So keep making that connection. But
yeah,
I'm getting off. But
well, no, I don't want to add to that too, even though we're kind of off tangent, but not really. Yeah, you have to really dive into prayer and stuff like that. But you also have to remember, like, if you feel like you're slogging it out and your partner's not connecting with you, it can be just as simple like bringing it to their attention. You can't neglect that too. Don't skip that part. Like, you got to let them know, hey, I really feel like you're not here with me every day, and I come home and you're kind of just like, you don't care about it. And they might be like, holy cow, I had no idea you felt that way. Let's fix that.
Yeah, because spoiler alert, your spouse can't read your mind. I know that really is a shocking revelation to a lot of you, but you have to communicate. Hey, we talk about that all the time.
Check it off the list.
Yes. So how
now you just have to say, shut it down. All of our checklists.
It's like marriage talks bingo. How many?
They said communication. She said shut it down.
We're gonna make a marriage talks bingo. Okay, I digress, but that'll be an Instagram thing. Anyways, so how does marriage fatigue happen? Number 1, you stop connecting. The second thing, you stop prioritizing. If you're not prioritizing the marriage and making it just under your relationship with the Lord, yeah, you're gonna experience marriage fatigue. That's a given. If you're not going to prioritize it, because then it becomes secondary, third, fourth, down the line. And before you know it, you're just cohabitating. Being a roommate with your spouse, cohabitating with your spouse, like not really having a thriving marriage, that's just a roommate. That's not marriage.
That's not what the whole thing's meant for. That's not. Yeah. You're not going to find your full potential and your full power as a married couple.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I get very passionate about, I want so much more for other married couples. I really do. Mm-hmm. When from outward appearances, it looks like it's just basically a roommate situation. My heart just gets so sad. I just really feel burdened, and I want it to be better. Yeah. And so when you stop prioritizing it, yes, you're going to allow that routine to get you, and you're not going to be an active participant in it. So yes, you will absolutely experience marriage fatigue if you stop prioritizing. Yeah, and at the risk of having a gigantic second point and going off tangent here too, one thing I have to bring up, and we have an episode in the kind of on deck about this, but hobbies can be a huge thing for this. We talk about this a lot. Now, neither one of us has a hobby that like overtakes our lives. Yeah, right? Correct. You're correct in saying that. Yeah, we're very busy with the kids. I guess that's our main hobby, so we don't like have the ability to pursue a whole lot on weekends. But if you're into like hunting or video games or sports, or there's a million other things. I don't mean to pick on just the like masculine stuff, but you could there's a list of feminine ones too. I'm quoting that. But crocheting. Like, if you find that something takes up hours upon hours upon hours of your week, and those are hours that you then totally have nothing to do with your wife or husband, it can probably benefit from a little bit of a inventory, and like, is this really helping us? That's a good word. Or is this taken away, and can I scale back a little bit? Yeah. Just putting that out there. So do with that whatever you will. I'm just kind of putting the idea into the world. We will expand on that. Yeah. Okay. That is, like Michael said, that is an episode to come. Hobbies. So don't worry. We will explain. Just let it float around in your head for a little bit. Yeah. So. Hobbies can be amazing. Don't get me wrong. Just because I'm boring and don't have a lot, don't get me for that one. Don't DM me. Don't at me.
Get at me, bro. Hobbies can be an amazing tool for connection. We'll get to that in the second portion of this one.
Yeah. So how does it happen? You stop connecting, you stop prioritizing, and the third one is you stop investing. And it might sound like these are all the same thing, but they're not, which is why we're giving examples. When you stop investing, you're not doing things to really strengthen your marriage. So when you stop connecting on an investment level as far as like, you know, reading books together, like things that actually make you a better spouse. That's what we're talking about when we say stop investing. So when you're not sharpening yourself as a spouse, that means that you've stopped investing in your marriage, and you will absolutely have marriage fatigue because nobody stays the same. We all change. We all have seasons where something in us changes. It's inevitable because we're human. That's the way that we are made.
Preach.
Your favorite meal as a 14-year-old is probably not your favorite meal as a mid-30-year-old and even older. Just going to say that. It might be.
I still like Frosted Flakes.
Do you really?
They're good.
I think if you ate it now, you'd be like, wow, that's a lot of sugar.
Yeah, but what is the one I like? Life cereal.
Life.
That is good.
Yeah.
And it's not full of sugar.
Well,
there's a lot.
Depends on which one you get.
Well, cinnamon is bad.
Yeah. Anyways, my point is that we all change. So you are constantly having to reevaluate, or like Michael said earlier, take inventory of how you are as a spouse. If you are not trying to make yourself better as a wife or as a husband, then it's going to be really, really difficult to have that strong relationship, that strong marriage. And so it's important to note that, okay, maybe you're in a marriage where you have fatigue, and to kind of label and recognize. Let me just say, it's not bad to label something. I think this is culture and society today. We don't want to label anything, which is a whole nother thing. I won't go into it. Let's move right past that. It is okay to label something, because when you label it, you recognize it and you take ownership of it. So you're like, yes, I've stopped connecting. We've hardly talked today, and we haven't kissed at all or touched each other. There's been no connection. We stop prioritizing. When you can recognize that you are not putting your spouse, basically number two, second to your relationship with the Lord, then absolutely you're going to have marriage fatigue. You got to prioritize. You got to recognize that if that's a key that's missing, then you got to say, yep, that's exactly what it is. Because if you don't know what it is, you don't know how to fix it, right? So for those of you who have kids and you're like, what's wrong? If they can't tell you what's wrong, you can't help them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're just a puddle of tears and like, I can't stop. And you're like, you are super extra right now and I love you. However, I literally can't help you because I don't know what to solve. Mm-hmm. It's the same in our marriage. If we are not willing to put a label on where our shortcoming is as a couple, how in the world can you expect to fix it? You can't. You cannot. You absolutely have to recognize that is an issue. We do not connect. We do not prioritize. We do not invest. We are speaking from experience, and it took a while for us to say, ooh, yeah, we stopped connecting there for a little while, and that's not okay. And we had to recognize and label that so that we can say, okay, that is the issue. Then how do we fix it?
Yeah. So speaking of, no solutions on this episode. Thank you guys for listening. Just kidding. We're halfway there.
Are you kidding? We always try to have some sort of solution.
It's right there on the script. All right.
So how do we fix it, Michael?
All right. So all the things that we mentioned before, start doing those. No,
and you're
kidding.
Done.
Yeah. So
we're just kidding.
Start connecting. Just meaningful interactions every single time you're together. Like if your wife is next to you, just kind of take a second and realize this woman who has chosen to attach herself to you for her entire life, your entire life, that is a pretty amazing thing. You were cool enough at one point to convince her that was a good idea. So take pride in the fact that happened and make her believe that idea again and again and again. Start connecting with her. She is there. There's a lot to her that you can just really be blessed by, and just connect with her. So conversations in the kitchen, conversations before bed, not phones and Kindles and all this stuff, but like, how are you actually doing? Like, not surface stuff.
Yeah, so I want to bring up 2 old episodes that we did. How to stay close in the daily grind. We go through what we do to stay close, and we plan to have a part 2 because it was actually a very hot episode.
Yeah, it seemed to hit people right where they wanted to hear some stuff.
Yeah. One of the things that we mentioned, definitely go back and listen to that, how to stay close in the daily grind. One of the things that we mentioned is that we text. We text a lot.
Thank God for the advent of unlimited text plans.
Yeah.
We'd be paying out the nose.
Oh my goodness. And we would be sending carrier pigeons.
Yeah, and remember, we live together. We still, but when I'm at work, it's like, well, don't tell my employers this, but it's a lot.
Well, it's not when you're like hands-on with a patient, like, let me just text my wife. No,
but like in the in-between, we're catching up and stuff.
Yeah, when you are not busy doing something, like, you make sure that you're good about that. But we text. We text whenever we can, because not only is he busy at work, but I'm also busy with the kids. I'm like full-time homeschooling. And so my phone is to the side so I can be present with them. But we make sure that we communicate, and we talk during lunchtime, unless he's got a meeting. We call each other, even if it's for a minute. Legit, we've had 1-minute phone calls before.
Yep.
But it's just say, hey, I just want to hear your voice. We are very big on talking to each other. 13 years in, we have never needed a break from each other. We've never been like, yeah, I need to like have a day or 2 away from you. Never.
No, a few minutes here and there.
Well, everybody needs a minute to just collect. Like, nobody needs something from me, or nobody talk to me for a second. Like,
but overall.
Yeah. I have never needed a break from you, ever.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah, you're the only person ever that's happened. So, that's good.
I still can't figure it out, but I'll take it.
But so, how to stay close in the daily grind, definitely check that out. And then Michael said something about cell phones and things like that, like in your bed, and not putting walls up to prevent you from communicating. We did 7 Silent Killers to Marital Intimacy, where we talk about technology. And that is a really, really good one, because we share very, very our real experience with that, and how it negatively impacted our marriage that we brought the phones into our bed. So definitely check that episode out after this one. It's really good. But you've got to connect.
We also gave a presentation about that. That was part of it at a podcast conference, too.
Yeah, we did.
That was fun.
We did, yes.
We'll get that video and put it up on the YouTube at some point. The YouTubes.
So yes, you got to start connecting daily, multiple times a day. It's not a one and done. Like, that's true. I've done it. I've met my quota for the day. No, constantly throughout the day. Number 2 is start prioritizing. You have to have regular date nights. And we talk about dating your spouse. We talk about dating your spouse when you have no money, because hello, we're there. Yeah. We do not go out every week. We have an at-home date night every single week.
Yeah, it's in 2020, there's so much streaming technology. Every movie you could possibly want is yours. So if you like movies, you can do a couch movie night. Food's cheap. You've got Uber Eats. You've got DoorDash, any of that stuff. Yeah. And of course, Publix too.
Yeah.
So you can make it happen for very, very cheap.
And board games. We have an episode about our Fave 5 board games. You should check it out. And we give you a lot of ideas about how to have a good date night. So you don't...
Yeah, we didn't start this this recording tonight knowing we would do all these links.
I know. It's good, though. It's good. But, yes, so you have to start prioritizing. When your marriage starts to fall lower and lower on your list, that's a red flag. It should not be that way. It should not be that way. And it's not to be like, well, dang, I screwed it up. Oh, man. It's like, no, just, okay, I haven't prioritized it. How do I fix it?
Yeah, every day's a new day.
Right.
Every day's a new chance.
Right. So don't, because I'm my own worst critic. I beat myself up for mistakes. Don't do that. Just label it. Recognize that that's something that I have done. Hello. Last episode, we talked about it. You got to recognize that that's something that you do, and just say, okay, I admit it. That's where I'm at. So I need to do better. And today, here's how I'm going to be better.
Yeah, and I would even take it one step further. I had a PT school professor who said this, and it really stuck with me. And she was like, you ever have you wake up and your coffee's spill in and you're late and you get a traffic jam or a fender bender and you're just like, dadgummit, my entire day sucks. She's like, why don't you just have like a bad hour? Choose it the next hour. Like, I'm going to approach this a different way. So like that same kind of thing can go with your marriage. Like, this happens to me all the time. I'll react in anger. I'll say something real stupid or harsh to either the kids or Elizabeth. And I'm like, 5 minutes later, I know I was stupid to say that. Can we start over? Let's have a new like a better evening, and I will not approach it that same way. So please forgive me. And boom, there you have it. Your whole day's not ruined because you had a bad 5 minutes at 8:15 p.m. You can just have that 5 minutes. Like it can be forgiven basically. So just pray about it, get your new attitude in check, and like talk about it.
Yeah, we realize that it's easier for some people than others, but we do believe that you have a choice. We have a choice in how we react to things. Absolutely, mindset and just like the way an individual's brain works affects that 100%. But we are responsible for how we react to things. And so it's just like taking that moment to pause. Absolutely, you do not need to have a full day that's bad. Why give it up? Why give up an entire day to one thing that went wrong? Your coffee spilled in the car. Like, well, just own it. Like, oh, well, I'm at work and I can't change and this is what happened. So it's a funny story. And you'd probably be surprised at how many people have experienced the same thing, whatever it might be, that you just said, it's just a bad day. It's a bad moment. Like, it happened and I'm just not going to let it affect the rest of my day.
Yeah, and if you're having trouble with like consistent mindset issues and you're constantly getting yourself in trouble or speaking sharply to others, like we would both highly encourage you to pray about it. Go seek out a pastor and dive into the word about it, because you can only really do so much in terms of like, I'm going to be a different person today. You can to some degree, but if it's a serious heart issue, you really need to like investigate that further spiritually and maybe meet with somebody. Yes,
left to our own devices, we will only get so far and we will always fail 100% of the time. 100% of the time. So by Michael saying go see a pastor, be in the word, be in prayer, and also I would add go see a counselor, because sometimes it's just you need some tools. Having those tools, whether they are from the Bible and then on top of that from your pastor and then on top of that from a counselor, those are all tools in your back pocket that you can pull out when you need. Whereas if I'm like on my own will, I'm going to do it and I'm going to be the best all the time and I'm never going to make a mistake. Spoiler alert, it's not going to happen. It just won't. I'm a living testament to that. We are sinners. So it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Give it 24 hours because I guarantee you tomorrow I will screw up.
I just realized when I voiced agreement, it was like, you were like, I'm a sinner. I screw up all the time. I was like, yeah. I was like, whoa. I didn't mean it like that.
I do though.
Yeah, so, and you could just echo that here. But all right, so our final point.
Yes.
Start investing into each other. So this is kind of like the overarching thing, in my opinion. So we have talked about some Bible studying together. Elizabeth right now is going through the book of Hebrews with a group of ladies, and she's telling me all kinds of stuff about it. The previous one was Sermon on the Mount. Yeah, and I started that. It was so good. I got through 2 weeks of it, but I had a lot of other stuff going. We are going to revisit that at some point. But going through a chapter or more like a book of the Bible can be super, super helpful in growing closer. And you can also do another book, like a workbook or something like that, a relational wisdom book. You can do conferences. There are all kinds of conferences.
Paul Tripp has a really great
marriage
conference. It's 4 videos. And it's good. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. And it is not expensive at all.
Yeah, I was taking notes so vigorously, I thought my pencil was going to catch on fire.
Like writing and it just flies out your hand because you're writing so fast.
It's awesome.
Yes, his stuff is real good.
And then the last one, we probably sound like a broken record, but therapy can be a great tool too. So it is a huge barrier to like actually seeking out a therapist. It doesn't have to be, but it's just kind of one of those perceived things.
Yeah.
The stigma of if you need therapy, you're on the rocks, about to fail, and all that stuff. But no. Just treat it as a checkup. I'm sure the therapist will love that. It's probably easier to talk with a couple and just kind of like, do the annual checkup or the 5-year checkup. Then like if you do finally get on the rocks, that's got to be kind of a tough job to go through and kind of work through. So.
Well, yeah, because you're going uphill really, really hard. And that's not to discourage you. Like if you are on the rocks with your spouse, go see a counselor.
Yeah.
100%. Do therapy, do the work, honor your covenant, honor your commitment to your spouse. When you said those vows, they are a binding biblical contract. Go to therapy. We've said it before, we'll say it again. Michael and I have been through therapy, and that's the only way, also by the grace of God, that we made it through the season that we were in. We needed it. We needed that referee in that season tremendously. So we 100% support therapy. And if you are considering that and you need help in that area, we will do whatever we can to help you find whoever it is. I realize that people who listen to us are in so many different areas of the world, but like we care about the survival of your marriage. That's why we do marriage talks. And so if we can give you any kind of tool to help you find someone locally or doing something virtually, we want to help you with that. And so like, please do not hesitate to reach out, but doing the investment in your marriage, and sometimes it's going to be really hard and sometimes it's going to be really fun and really amazing. Like all these things don't have to be super burdensome.
Yeah.
They can be really amazing and fruitful, and they will be fruitful, and you can see you can reap some of these things. You can immediately reap what you sow, which is really encouraging. Other things will take time. But making that investment in your marriage is something that is not surface deep. It is something that gets to the heart of your marriage. And when you get to the heart of your marriage, you then create long-lasting roots that are strong, that help your marriage survive the next season of difficulty. And that's just so vital.
Beautiful. Well said.
I could go on for a long time, but I won't.
Yeah. As you can tell, we have a passion for this. We've been doing this every week for over a year, but it is so good. It's like, if we can give you one nugget that you use this week in your marriage, we've done our job, and that makes us feel so great. So we love the feedback we get from you guys in Facebook messages, reviews, and all that. With all that said, basically the overarching kind of prop statement for this week is that creating a thriving, healthy marriage takes small daily decisions. It doesn't happen by just bringing flowers home on your anniversary, although that helps if you do that too. But just doing that alone is kind of bare minimum. So do more than that. It's like every day should be treated like an anniversary.
Yeah, every day making those small little action steps towards feeding into a healthy marriage, giving you the tools to be stronger together. When you choose to make those small daily things, it's a lot easier than coming to like the other side of a really difficult season where like you're just like, I don't know if we're gonna make it. That's not me saying, all right, then you should give up. No. I'm just saying that if you're in a position, which everybody is, to make those small daily decisions to love your spouse well, in connection, in prioritizing, in investing, start doing those tomorrow. Or whenever you're listening to it, do it today, depending on how late the day is. Make that decision today. And that will help you move forward with your spouse in a healthy way. And when you choose to make those small daily decisions, it becomes a much more meaningful habit that you truly love. Instead of, like Michael said, bringing flowers home on your anniversary. Legit, that's the bare minimum. Don't do that. do that on top of everything else, but don't just resort to just that. It does not wipe away months and months and months of neglect. It won't. So, another spoiler alert. Apparently, we're really big on this today.
Yeah.
Bringing home flowers on your anniversary does not wipe away months and months and months, years and years and years of neglect. It just doesn't. Putting your best foot forward every day, making that effort is key.
Yeah. All right, so we want to give you guys our challenge for the week. And in the next 7 days, sit down with your spouse and talk about 3 things. One way you can connect daily. One way you can prioritize your marriage. Our hint is to schedule a date night.
Do it.
And one way to invest. So if you don't have like a book or something that you have in mind, you can reach out to us. We've got a lot of books we've gone through that are really cool. Or kind of talk about maybe going to therapy, what that would look like. And don't be afraid of it.
Yeah, and we'll put some links in show notes of some of our favorite ones that have been really impactful for us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, guys. So, yeah, you can connect with us on all of the socials.
All the socials, links in the show notes.
Yeah. And again, we appreciate you guys sticking with us
Yes.
for this evening
Thank
/
you.
day, whenever you're listening to this.
Yeah.
We do this for y'all.
Yeah, thank you
And it's
for
awesome.
listening to my passionate expressions of marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very passionate about it. We want you to thrive, and so that's why we do what we do. We love it.
Yep.
So, and we love you guys. Thank you so much for coming week after week. Y'all are amazing.
Yeah. Catch you next week.
Bye.